Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Angie,
Good
and I'm very
evening.
much delighted to welcome you all to tonight's interactive sessions on behalf of Toppers Academy. It's my great pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest, Sir Omajen Ozukum, who have secured top one in NPSC CSE 2023 as EAC. We are very excited to hear about his journey and valuable insights into NPC preparation. So, without further ado, I'll hand it over to Sir Omajen Ozukum. So, everyone, please join me in welcoming him. Sir Ozukum, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Atsu. Thank you so much, Toppers Academy, for inviting me to have this conversation. First of all, I would also like to thank Imkong Nakla. She approached me and I couldn't refuse because I feel like, you guys can learn a little bit from me as you are learning from other aspirants and people who have cleared as well. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Omajen. I'm originally from Mokokchung. I did my schooling from Queen Mary School, Mokokchung, and then I went to study in Assam Rifles Public School, Shillong, for my 11th and 12th. After that, I went to Delhi to pursue my bachelor's in economics from Sri Ram College of Commerce, Delhi University. After I finished my graduation, I was involved with some organizations and student bodies. And in 2015, I decided to prepare for UPSC exams, and I started my preparation solely focused on UPSC. And my last attempt for UPSC was in 2022 when I gave my mains exam. Till then, my sole aim was to crack UPSC because that was my aim in life, but I couldn't clear it. So I decided that, I should come and try NPSC. Maybe this is what God has in store for me. And last year, when I appeared my mains exam, I went till the interview stage, but I couldn't make it. But this year, luckily, and thank God that I could secure a rank in this year's exam. So that's a little bit of introduction about me. I think I will phase this discussion into 2-3 phases. I think first of all, I would like to talk about my preparation and books, as you guys might be interested in that, my exam experience, my experience with NPSC, and after that, I'll take some of your questions, okay? So if you guys have any questions, you guys can just comment and I'll read your comments and I can reply accordingly, yeah? Is it okay? Am I audible, guys?
Yes, yes. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. So yeah, regarding my preparation, last year when I appeared for NPSC, I appeared in PSC from a UPSC perspective. And I think that was one of the main reasons why I couldn't clear NPSC, because NPSC is also not an easy exam. It has its own difficulty because the way the questions are framed, the way the questions are asked are really different from UPSC. Of course, there are similarities, but the approach is very different. So one of the main mistakes I made was to prepare for the NPSC from the perspective of a UPSC aspirant. So last year, when I appeared, I didn't do my MCQ papers really well because I couldn't study the science chapters really well. So this year, when I appeared for the exams, I really concentrated on studying the science subjects, biology, chemistry, and physics particularly, and that really helped in increasing my score in the MCQ. Yeah. So Atsu, what should I talk about next?
Uh,
Kind of, yeah.
Journey in preparing this NPC exam. You can share about your strategies. If you have any questions, you can ask those who are joining us live. We have
Okay, so yeah, I think somebody asked, give link of your books and resources.
you can ask question. You can drop a message. There will be ask questions. Only you can ask questions. Please ask questions.
Sir,
Yes.
how was your approach towards economics and geography? Can you please share a little bit your
Okay,
strategy like towards MPSC exam?
I'll do that. I think economics is a subject where a lot of NPSC aspirants, especially the ones that I had conversation with, find difficult. So since I am from an economics background in okay, Lady King. Okay. So if you guys wait till the end, I'll tell you the strategy, how to prepare for prelims, okay? How to appear your prelims exam. So yeah, regarding the question about economics and geography, one thing that has been on my mind and I wanted to tell you guys tonight is if you are not well versed in economics and if you are just starting to study economics and you feel like your economics is really not strong, what you should do, and I suggest everyone, is you should know the concept of demand and supply. Okay, the law of demand and supply. So tonight, after we have this conversation, you go back to your room, to your study table, you Google the law of demand and supply, because economics is all about the law of demand and supply. If you talk about inflation, it's all about how supply economy. Or if you talk about, okay, so if you talk about monetary policy of the RBI, how repo rate is affected, how open market conducted. It's all about how demand and supply affects these different rates, or in case of inflation, how it affects prices. So once you understand the concept of demand and supply, I think economics will be very easy for you. So yeah, so I would suggest you do that. Regarding NPSC, economics is a little bit easier. So you don't need to go much in depth studying economics and studying all the concepts. But yeah, so you can study the books that you can refer to is class 11 and 12 economics. I think that should suffice. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So whenever you study economics, you study the concepts first, right? So instead of breaking your brain over studying fiscal and monetary policy, you try to understand the concepts first. So once you understand the concepts, things will become much, much easier for you. Okay. So that is what I would suggest. 11 and 12 CBSE economics, more than sufficient for economics. Okay. And for geography, actually, even for geography, even for UPSC, geography, the only books you need to refer to is class 11 and 12 NCRT. In the case of NPSC, those books should suffice. So the most difficult subjects, economics and geography, class 11 and 12 economics CBSE, and class 11 and 12 economics geography. Did I answer your question? Are you satisfied?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, tips for studying history, especially ancient India, right? Okay. So the thing about history, I think tonight our discussion is very practical, right? We are not limiting ourselves. Okay. So for history, the way you need to study is you need to study history chronologically, okay? When you are studying history, many a times, a lot of people, since there are a lot of history questions, you directly delve into studying MCQs. So the problem with studying through MCQs is, since it's jumbled up, you might know, you might study an MCQ and you feel like you know the answer, but in the examination hall, you might not be able to recollect it. So you need to study history chronologically. So for example, let's say you're studying modern Indian history. So for example, let's say in 1904, once the partition of Bengal was declared, the Indian Congress session happened in Banaras, and I think who was the I forget the name. Gopal Krishna Gokhale. He was the president of the Indian National Congress. So 1904, Indian National Congress session in Banaras. 1905, Indian National Congress session in Calcutta. Dadabhai Naoroji, Swaraj was declared. Right. In 1907, there was Surat split. In 1909, the Morley Minto reforms happened. So whenever you study history, you study chronologically. And when you study chronologically, you will be able to remember them much better in the exams. Okay, so that is the only tip I would give for you. For ancient India, you study NCERT. For medieval India, you can study Satish Chandra, but Satish Chandra's book is mostly, I think it's mainly, it reads like a novel. So you might not be able to grasp it. There's a book on medieval India by Sujata Menon. Okay, so if you guys read that book, it will be more than sufficient. For ancient India, you can also read Spectrum. Spectrum has a good book on ancient India. And for modern India, as we all know, everyone studies from Spectrum. So that will be more than sufficient. Anything related to history? Yeah, history timeline is very important. I think you really need to know the timeline, Congress sessions, the Governor Generals. I think when you know those chronology, when you know those systematically, it will be much more easier for you to produce in the exam, right? So yeah. Okay, that's about history. How to study history, right? What made you different from all the aspirants to achieve top 1? Okay, let me answer that. You guys can hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
So, even I've been thinking about this. Like, no one prepares to be ranked number 1, It could have been anyone. It could have been Yan Sodang, the number 2 rank. It could have been Chuchong, the number 3 rank. It could have been, what's his name, Tefu. Anyone among the 16, right? So you don't prepare to be ranked number 1. I think there's only a difference of a few marks between all the aspirants. So it doesn't really matter. I think at the end of the day, achieving your goals, achieving the post that you wanted, I think that matters a lot. So you should always, whenever you study, and this is also one thing I would like to tell all of you is that, especially when you're preparing for competitive exams, you should prepare to succeed, but you should also prepare to fail, right? Success is not a certainty. So you should always keep that in mind. You should develop a thick skin for failure, all right? Because not everyone can clear this exam, you know that, right? So you should also develop a thick skin for failure. When you develop a thick skin for failure, sorry, there was a disturbance. Yeah, so I was saying, so when you develop a thick skin for failure cannot move you, it cannot shake you. You'll be able to achieve your dreams no matter what the circumstances, right? So whenever you fall, you will be able to rise up. Another thing regarding this, since you guys asked me the question, is I think a lot of aspirants, since there are a lot of aspirants giving the exams, but there's the number of jobs is quite less, right? Not everyone can get the job. I think for me, what worked was, and I think all of us, since we are all preparing for civil service exams, all of us have an equal chance, right? No matter if you're from the village, you're from the town, from the city. Doesn't matter if you're just a graduate, you're a PhD, doctorate guy. Everyone has an equal chance to get the job. But at the same time, I think all of us, especially us aspirants, since I think, a lot of people say we should do business, we should get into entrepreneurship. But I feel like aspirants, we really don't want to get into entrepreneurship. So I think what we can do is, and I highly suggest this, is after you appear 2 times or 3 times, if you fail, you get a master's degree. Okay, you get a master's degree, you clear your NET exam. What happens when you clear when you get a master's degree? You open up a lot of opportunities. You'll be able to give the CSE exams. You can be a lecturer, you can be a professor, you can teach in universities, private or public. So when you get a master's degree, it opens up a lot of opportunities. But that is only the second thing. The first thing is when you get a master's degree, you develop a very critical mindset. So one thing that I've observed in the current exam, the mains exam that happened this year, UPSC is becoming very dynamic, right? It's evolving every year. So NPSC is asking questions. For example, they will ask a question and they will say, what is your opinion on it? You have to give your opinion. You have to critically examine what the examiner is asking, and you have to answer those questions. So it's very important to develop a critical mindset. So when you get a master's degree, it really opens up, your critical thinking ability, and you'll be able to answer the questions in a much better way. So I would really suggest that always keep your options open. Excuse me. Always keep your options open. One thing I realized in my preparation, I was very stubborn. Okay, I only wanted to clear UPSC. That was the only thing on my mind, and I don't want you guys to make the same mistake. Always keep your options open. Give as many exams as possible, which is similar to NPSC, like UPSC, NPSC. If you have a master's, CSE, or you can give NSSB, and exams like that, And also another low-hanging fruit is the SSC exam, right? When I was in Delhi and I was working with the student union bodies, there are a lot of students from Manipur, from Mizoram, working in the central secretariat. So like we have the secretariat assistant in Nagaland, there is a job called the central secretariat assistant, right? The salary is higher. And these are low-hanging fruits. I think aspirants from Nagaland, you can really aspire for those jobs also. You can appear for NPSC even after you get the job. So you try to give all these exams. It will really improve your answer writing abilities, your MCQ solving abilities, and it will really help you in your CSET also, because SSC exam has the pattern of not the pattern, the syllabus of CSAT in SSC exams can really help you to clear NPSC and UPSC as well. So keep that in mind. All of us are going through different phases of life, right? I think some of you are going to appear for the first time. Some of you have appeared twice, you haven't cleared. Some of you have cleared prelims but haven't cleared mains. Some of you have cleared mains but couldn't clear the interview. So everyone's journey is different. So we all need to approach this in different ways, and for that you need good mentorship. Okay, good mentorship. So yeah, so when I talk about mentorship, I will give you some tips. Okay, I think you guys, let us be very practical, right? I think, is what I'm saying making sense? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
my
Yes,
idea is I just want to be a little practical, right? So that you guys, not only what to study. See, everyone studies from the same books, right? If I tell you the books now, it will be the same as someone who has already cleared the exams. So it is important to know what to study. It is also important to know how to study. I think, so let's talk about that, okay? How to study. So first of all, you need good mentorship, okay? So let's say, okay, let's talk about this. Okay, sorry. Okay, fine. So let's divide this into two, okay? Let's divide, for example, whenever you study monetary policy. If tomorrow NPC or EPC asks you a question about monetary policy, there are two things, right? One are quantitative tools and the other one is qualitative tools, right? So the qualitative tools, what thing I can think of is like you need good mentorship. So a good mentor will direct you in the right direction. There are a lot of coaching institutes I hear which are opened by NPC aspirants who have cleared the exams. So they are providing you good mentorship, right? Like NPC mentors, like Study Circle, like Toppers Academy, led by our very own Isim Kongnakla. So you need good help, you need good direction. So these mentors will guide you, and they are doing a great job. And yeah. So, but also, a mentor, he or she doesn't need to be a topper. Okay. Usually, what I found in my years of preparation is usually the person who hasn't cleared the exams, no, he can be the best mentor. Okay. So you look around yourself, you see a person who hasn't cleared the exams, that guy will be your best mentor. So you keep an eye and look out for them, and you can take really good advice from them. Okay. The other thing is there's no substitute for hard work. You really need to hard work, but at the same time, you need to be consistent. Okay, consistency. Whoever is preparing for exams, you write down consistency in a piece of paper. You paste it wherever you want to paste it in your room. Consistency is the key. One of the reasons why I fail in these exams, no, some of these years, is I wasn't consistent. And I was studying, but I wasn't consistent. So if you're consistent, one day or the other, you will clear the exams. Okay. In terms of preparation, no, there are only a few things. Okay, you don't need to list. I mean, of course, you take advice from everyone, but there are only a few things that everyone does. So the first thing is you need the right books, right? And you need to keep your books minimal. You don't need a lot of resources. Like for example, like we talked about history, you can study from NCRT, from Spectrum. Economics, you can study from Ramesh Singh. You can also look at Shriram IAS economics, or you can also study class 11, 12 economics. Class 11 and 12 CBSE economics is the best book. Or for geography, class 11 and 12 NCRT. For, let's say, for environment, you can study from Shankar IAS. For Nagaland, you can study from M. Tungoy. You can study from is it M. Tungoy? I don't know. Is it Tungoy and Imfira, right? So you keep your books minimal. Don't study from a lot of sources. Okay. So you do that. Second is note making. So these are the quantitative tools we are talking about. Okay. The ones we talked about, good mentorship, hard work, consistency, these are the qualitative tools. The quantitative tools are you need the right resources. You need note making is very important. One thing is there are a lot of toppers, or there are a lot of students who have their own notes and they might share it with you. Like somebody was asking me about my notes. But when you make your own notes, no, you 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 can recall them better. So you give a little bit of time to make your own notes. It doesn't need to be perfect, right? You don't need to aim for perfection when you're making your notes. It can be scribbled, it can be anything, like it can be in a handwriting that is legible only to you. So you make your own notes. It's really important. And for revision, especially current affairs, if you make notes, it will really help you towards when the exam is nearer. You really don't need to look at all those PDFs. You have your own notes, and it will be easy to refer and to remember. Now, another thing is revision, right? So revision is really important. A lot of people, including myself, there have been times when I studied till the last minute, right? Tomorrow is the exam, today I'm studying something. But those questions, they never come. So instead of that, it's better to revise what you have studied, okay? So the last month, especially the last 30 days, give your time on revision. And yeah, so note making, revision, what was it? The right books. So those are the things that you can do to clear the exams, okay? So the art of,
Hello, sir.
okay, hello, Mulumi.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
good
First of all, congratulations, and then you'll be an inspiration for most of us. Then my question is like, what is the most difficult challenges that you faced during your preparation, and then how did you tackle up those challenges?
Okay, thank you so much for the question and thank you for your good wishes. Yeah, it's been very challenging, especially my journey with UPSC. Like, I appeared mains, like I couldn't clear, I appeared mains, I couldn't clear. So it was very challenging for me. But at the end of the day, all of us have to realize that failure is just a part of life. It's not the end of it all. So for that matter, when I couldn't clear my mains for the second time, I decided to pursue my master's. I've cleared my UGC NET exam, So when you do those kind of things, for example, if I didn't clear the civil service, I always have an avenue to pursue. I always, for example, I can teach in a university, as I said earlier. So you need to keep your options open. When you have your options open, you can take a little bit of risk. You can, even in your examination hall. So yeah, how you tackle those challenges, I think you need good friends. I think that is very important. Friends who support you. Of course, family is always there, but you need a small circle of friends who constantly encourage you, because I think modern families, sometimes we depend on our friends, So having good friends is really important. And no matter what the circumstances, just being consistent and never give up attitude, So those are some of the things that I can remember now. So yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Sir,
Hello, yes.
this journey of preparing exam can be like very stressful and very anxious at times. So like, when you feel like that, like, how did you cope up with it? Can you please share with us?
Mhm. Yeah, thank you so much for the question. Yeah, I think it's quite similar to the previous question, but I'll still answer you. I think it's different in its own way. What I can think of is, like I said earlier, success is right. It's not assured that you or me, we will succeed. So I have failed so many times. So just keeping the faith, like just believing in yourself. And also, I would also like to tell you all that, when you give these exams, when you're giving it for the second or the third time, you will know yourself whether you are made for it or not. So a lot of people, instead of giving many years in preparing these exams, what you need to do is you need to assess yourself critically. So when you give for the second or the third time, you will know your capacity. You know whether you will be able to clear the exam or not. So just endlessly giving the exam will not help you. One thing that happened to me was I used to regularly clear the prelims, UPSC prelims. Of course, not every year. So that kind of gave me the hope that, oh, you know what, maybe this is it for me. So I realized that I will be able to do it. So assessing yourself critically, knowing your strength and your weaknesses, I think that is very important. So once you know that you will be able to do it, like no one can stop you, right? So yeah, self-assessment, I think that is really important. So course correction is really important. I think if there's one thing that you can learn from me is I didn't course correct myself earlier, right? I was so stubborn that I was just giving this UPSC exam. And so, for example, if you're giving the exams, but you're not clearing, like I said earlier, you should do your master's. That will open up a world of opportunities for you. You will clear your NET exam, you clear your NET exam. So you need to course correct yourself instead of giving it for 5-6 years repeatedly. If you don't clear it in your second, if you don't clear it in your third or fourth attempt, you should course correct yourself before you reach the age of 30. Okay, so you do that, and yeah, you'll be successful in whichever field you go to. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Me and CSET don't go hand in hand. please suggest a mantra to tackle it. Okay. You know, I think you're an art student, right? Even I'm an art student. Even I'm really weak in maths. Okay, so I think it just requires practice, a little bit of practice. That's why I tell you now, especially if you are young, if you are just a recent graduate and you are just starting to give your competitive exams, you should appear or at least study maths CSAT from SSC. So the SSC exam, since they give you very little time to solve the questions, there are many tips and tricks that they teach you. So it will be plenty on YouTube. So you just Google SSC CSAT and you try to learn from them. For those students who are, you know, like let's say 27, 28 and beyond, who are still appearing for this exam, practice, of course, but I think what you can also do is you can focus on some topics and you can master them. So, for example, if they ask you a question on number series, or if you ask you a question on time and work, probability, right, or simple interest, compound interest. So I've listed 5 topics, right? So if you are weak in maths, you focus on 2 or 3 of those and you do those, you practice those properly, so that, you know, in the exam, if they ask you 20 questions based on CSET, at least you'll be able to do 10 questions. And also regarding prelims, even don't try to get 200 out of 200. Your aim is just to make the cutoff, okay? So you focus on your strengths. So why I say NPC prelims is a level playing field for everyone is because there are students who are coming from history background, from pol science background, from science background. So for a person who is coming from a science background, maybe he's weak in economics or history, or for a history student or an economics student, he may be weak in science. So it's a level playing field. You should focus on your strengths, okay? You don't try to cover or finish everything. You focus on your strengths. You finish, for example, if you're strong in modern history and polity, you finish those first. And be sure that if they ask you 50 questions from polity and history, that you're able to answer at least 40 questions out of 50, right? Or Nagaland, you know, those kind of subjects. So you focus on your strengths. What are the types of questions they asked in the interview and how did you prepare for it? So interview, they ask you very general questions and the interview board is very cordial. They will make you feel very comfortable. So you don't need to worry about the interview. You know, the interview, you cannot really prepare for the interview. The interview is a culmination of your entire preparation stage. So from the day you start preparing till the day you go to the interview, you are preparing for your interview. So you develop an officer mindset, right? You develop a mindset where excuse me. Yeah. So you develop an officer mindset. What is an officer mindset is the way you deal with people around you, building your character, the way you talk to people around you, the way you treat other people around you. So for example, let's say, you know, the Dimapur Kohima road, like because of the recent floods, vehicles cannot move, right, from one place to the other, especially this road. A lot of people are complaining, right? Oh, this politician, or like, you know, our politicians are not good, they're not doing a good job. What is an officer's mindset is your mindset should not be to blame others, but your mindset should be, what is the solution to this problem, right? So whenever you see a problem, an officer mindset, if you have an officer mindset, you look at to find a solution, okay? So you look at things in that way. So when it will even help you in your mains exam, right? I think this year there was a question. They asked a question, and towards the end, it said like, you know, what is your opinion on this matter? So it will really help you in answering these questions as well. So develop a critical mindset, develop a problem-solving mindset, and eventually when you go to the interview, your character will reveal itself to the interview board and you will get really good marks. Okay, so don't worry about the interview. Yeah. Anyone else? Do you guys have any questions? Okay, sir, with a change on the question pattern that is being more inclined towards application-based science questions on science and tech, sir, please to enlighten us how to cope up with it. Yeah, so even I haven't studied science for ever since I was in class 10, because in UPSC, the science is very different, right? We have science and technology. So science from the UPSC perspective is very much based on current affairs, the current technologies that are available, like AI and things like that. From an NPSC perspective, you really need to, whenever you study, let's say Lucent, right? I studied from Lucent, physics, biology, and chemistry. You need to understand the concept. So if you're just solving MCQs, you might not be able to solve this year's mains MCQ, the MCQ paper, the GS1 paper. So even when you study science, you study it critically, you try to understand how certain things happen. So there was a certain question, like I remember when you open a bottle, or when you open a bottle, what causes the fizz when you open a can, right? Questions like that. Or what causes the popcorn to pop? Those were the questions which were asked in the MCQ paper. So for those, you cannot really memorize, right? You need to understand why it happens and the reason behind it. So when you study science, you study those concepts, like you try to understand the concepts well, so that no matter what question they ask, you will be able to answer. Sir, could you please give an honest advice for a fresh aspirant in late 20s or early 30s? Okay. You have to start just like anybody else. It's never too late. I have a lot of friends who are in their late 30s who are still giving, who are in their early 30s who are still giving the exam. So you just need to persevere. You need to start from zero. I think everyone, for that matter, whenever you don't clear prelims, you need to start over, right? You need to reanalyze you need to analyze what went wrong. You need to analyze your strengths and your weaknesses, go back to the table, start all over again. So even if you're in your late 20s or your early 30s, it's never too late. You can still pursue it as long as you're willing to put in the hard work, and be dedicated. Then I don't see it as a problem. Sir, how do you remember articles? It's really confusing. So one way, I think I'll give you another tip, okay, to study polity. Everyone studies polity from Laxmikant. A lot of UPSC aspirants know this, but you never study Laxmikant from the first chapter to the last chapter, right? You don't. So, for example, Laxmikant, the first two chapters are historical background and the making of the Indian Constitution. So you never start reading Laxmikant from those chapters. You start reading Laxmikant from president, and let's say you study president, vice president, and then you go to governor. Okay, so you study president and governor simultaneously. You study prime minister and chief minister simultaneously. You study Supreme Court and high courts simultaneously, because they are very similar, right? So if you study president, governor has almost the same powers as the president, except maybe the pardoning power, or maybe he has some extra powers. Or prime minister and chief minister, the roles are almost similar. So president, governor, you study simultaneously. Prime minister, chief minister, council of ministers and state council of ministers, Supreme Court and high court, those kind of chapters, you can study it simultaneously. And yeah, if you do that, I think that should be okay. How you remember the articles? I think it's all about the more you study, the more you remember. I don't think there is a trick to remember the articles. So the more you read, the more you'll be familiar with the articles, and yeah, you'll be able to remember them. And also, like the way I mentioned, right, the president and the governor, the CM and the prime minister, the articles are very similar. So you find the pattern in those numbers. You write them side by side, you will see the pattern. Okay. And whenever you study numbers, no, you try to develop patterns. So for example, if there's a date that you can't remember, let's say you can't remember 6th of October. So what you need to do is you need to relate it with something. So let's say your father's birthday is on the 5th of October and you need to memorize 6th of October. So you relate that to your father's birthday. Yeah? You get it? You try to relate whenever you study numbers, you need to see the pattern. Okay, that will make you remember. So if you also use your birthday, your birth year, anything that is, that doesn't need to be memorized. Use those years and those dates to memorize the other dates. Okay. So for example, if your birthday is on 16 October, I think there was an event, right? Was it the partition of Bengal on 16 October? So you use those dates which are available to you to study the other dates, and same goes for the articles as well, right? So if you're born in 1992 or 1992, you look at Article 92, things like that. So that will help you remember. You find the pattern in the numbers, and remembering numbers will be very easy for you. Okay. How much did you score in GS1? I think I'm scoring between 85 to 90. Also this year, I think one thing that really worked for me was, there was a change of pattern this year. And there was a change of pattern this year. So in the first paper, the English paper, the essay paper, a lot of people couldn't complete the paper, right? So time management is really important. The moment I went into the exam hall and I saw the question paper, I knew that the paper was very lengthy and it would be very difficult to cover the entire thing. So what I did was, the first 1.5 hours, I said, I'm going to complete comprehension and the grammar. And the next 1.5 hours, I will do the 2 essays. So for me, since I had already decided before I started appearing time very well. So you need to be prepared, right? Yeah. Yeah.
85 to 90.
So you need to be really. So for me, I could complete and I could write both the essays in the given time. So that really. So whenever you go to the hall, before you don't go with your preconceived notions that this exam is going to be easy, it's going to be difficult. You need to prepare yourself mentally for the day of the exam. So the moment you sit in the examination hall, you look at the question papers and you'll be able to say, okay, you know what, this is what I need to do. This is how I need to appear. So in the first 3 to 4 minutes, look at the question paper and you make it will really help you in completing your paper. Okay. And my paper 2 was also very good. So, yeah. So what do you suggest to those aspirants who don't take coaching due to low income and are doing self-preparation? Yeah, nowadays there are a lot of resources available on the internet, on YouTube. So you can just Google the subject and type in, what do you call it? Marathon. Yeah. So for example, if you want to study history, type history marathon on YouTube, economics marathon, and you will get the resources. Everything is available on the internet. Okay. I wish you all the best. Are we running late? Do I have more? Do I have time to answer more questions?
Yes, sir.
Are
We
you
have
there?
more. Yes, yes.
Okay. So how to improve for descriptive and so please give some tips for answer writing. How did you approach questions which you don't know in GS2 paper? So my paper 2, why it went really well was because of my preparation for UPSC. Since I had written quite a few mains, it really helped me because UPSC, as I said earlier, is evolving. It's becoming very dynamic, right? They are not only asking factual questions, they're asking your opinion. What is your opinion? Can you suggest some changes? So that is the reason why I say you need to develop an analytical ability. So read as much as possible, make reading a habit, and read, broaden your knowledge base. Answer writing, I think, is all about practice. The more you practice, the more you'll be able to write better, improve your vocabulary. And I also, since you have a lot of coaching institutes, if they are able to correct you, like they're able to give whenever they correct your question papers, they give you tips on how to improve your answer writing. So if possible, you join an answer writing institute. If not, you can write it yourself also at home, and you'll be able to judge. I think once you write an answer, you know whether it's a good answer or a bad answer. So if you think it's a good answer, you can improve on it. If you think it's a bad answer, you can write it again, and you can add some more material which is relevant to the question, and you will be able to do it. So just keep writing. Try to write at least 1 or 2 answers in a day, or if you are not able to do it, maybe during the weekend, you try to write an answer or two. Okay. And PYQs, right? One thing about paper 2 is a lot of questions are asked from the previous year questions. So there was a book, Arihan's previous year questions. I referred to it because I couldn't get all the question papers. So since we had all the questions and answers in one book, I was easily able to refer to it and improve the answers, right? So I'll look at a topic and say, I'll read it, and if I think that the answer is insufficient, I would add some more points to that. So you do that and you'll be fine, okay? And writing matters or quality matters in writing answers. And that's a difficult question. Or quality handwriting matters. Handwriting or quality? I think quality matters. Obviously, content is king, right? In GS2. So if you have the right content, even if you're handwriting, a lot of people, they have their handwriting, a lot of people, they complain that their handwriting is not good. If your handwriting is not good, obviously you need to improve it. You can try to improve it, but if you have a bad handwriting, use spaces, keep spaces between 2 words whenever you write, and make it look pretty. Okay, that's one thing you can do without doing much. Ask me more questions, okay? If you have anything. Somebody keeps on asking me how old am I? I'm very old. So don't lose heart, okay?
So Omajen, so how long you have been preparing for this NPC exam?
So, the last time as I said earlier, 2022, when I gave my UPSC mains, I couldn't make it by 3 marks. So I decided, this is not for me. And I devoted my 100% to NPSC after that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
How much do we need to score to get an EAC list? Even I don't know. Whenever you prepare for any exam, and this is one thing that I've realized over the years, is try to give your best and leave everything to God, no? So when you do that, you will not be disappointed. So you don't try to aim for EAC, or you don't try to aim for SA. You give your best, you give everything that you have, and you leave the rest to God. So once you give your best, even if you fail, you will not have any regrets, okay? So even for me, right, I was ready to accept defeat. Like if I didn't clear the exam, I would have been okay with it because I know that not everyone can make this exam. So we need to mentally be prepared for it also. That is why I tell you, right? You need to keep your options open. Don't just focus on NPSC. You can become a lecturer. You can become academic wise. I mean, huh? So keep your options open. And I really suggest you, if you haven't cleared your prelims, let's say 3 times, do your masters. Okay, do your masters. Do your masters and clear net. That will open up a world of opportunities and it will really help you in answer writing if you clear prelims. So another thing is a lot of people they don't clear prelims and they give up. So what the first 3 years when you prepare for NPSC, you are giving your everything. So you know the entire syllabus, you know how to write, you know how to answer questions, but maybe due to being some people can be unlucky and you might not be able to clear. So make sure that the year you clear NPSC, right? So let's say you have given 3 times, you haven't cleared. Let's say the 4th time you cleared. The moment you clear, you should be ready for your mains. Okay, so be mains ready even if you don't clear your prelims, and make sure that the year you clear your prelims, you're going to clear the entire thing. Okay, so you prepare accordingly. Don't say like I'm going to clear next year or I'm going to clear in 2 years. You say that the year I am clearing my prelims, I will clear mains. So it might be in 1 year, it might be in 2 year, 3 year, or 4 year. The year that you clear your prelims, make this promise yourself that you're going to clear your mains and the entire thing together. So be mains ready the year you clear your prelims. That is very important because opportunities doesn't come often. So a lot of people, right, who are weak in MCQs, even I'm weak in MCQs. So the year you clear prelims, it's a very big thing for you. You might not clear it again, right, next year. So make sure that the year you clear your MCQs, the year you clear your prelims, you clear the entire thing at one go. Because next year you might not clear it. Okay. Sir, is it wise enough to skip ancient and medieval? A lot of people struggle with ancient and medieval. It's becoming very competitive. I will not suggest you to ignore it completely, but what I would suggest to you is you focus on your strengths, the subjects that you are strong at, and the remaining time you give to ancient and medieval. Okay, don't ignore it, but you can give lesser time. But you have to make sure that the subjects which you are good at, you are able to score really well in those papers. But don't ignore it. Don't skip it. At least study something. In ancient India, for example, you can study about the Mahajanabadas. You can study about Guptas. The important ones. You don't need to study everything. Medieval, you can study battles, important battles. So make sure that you know at least something. Sir, I've been failing my mains for the past 4 years. Oh, I'm really sorry. What approach are necessary? Okay, I don't know what reason, what's the reason behind you failing your mains, but you can focus on answer writing. And I think one thing that you might not be doing is getting your answers checked, right? You don't know where your weakness is. So get your answer checked by someone. Join an online test series or something and get your answers checked. And I think that will really help you, okay? I'm not an expert, like to give all this, but I'm sharing everything, that I can. Everyone's journey, and also one thing I want you guys to understand, everyone's journey is different, right? My journey is different, your journey is different. So everyone has a different journey. We have the same goal, but we have different paths to reach the same goal. So whatever I say, it might not apply to you, but I hope you guys learn something from my experience, and I hope it really helps you. Don't take everything that I say as the gospel truth, but try to take what is good, what is applicable to you. Okay, I think we have another interaction coming up, right, Atsu?
Yes, yes, yes. I think we can
So
stop
should
here.
we end there?
Come again?
So should we end here?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Should I
Okay.
say something towards the end and concluded, no?
Please, please, go ahead.
So yeah, at the end, I just I hope I was able to answer most of your questions. Of course, it's a very short conversation, so I'm not able to answer all of your questions. Maybe someday we have the opportunity to have this conversation again. Just a few tips. I think exams are coming up, so all of you must be worried about the prelims also. Focus on your strength, focus on what you're good at, and don't try to study everything, the fear of missing out. Just focus on your strength and keep revising whatever you have studied. So study smart. NPSC is changing, right, every year. So you should expect the unexpected. We don't know what's going to happen, what kind of questions they are going to ask. So don't have that preconceived notion that, NPSC paper is going to be easy, it's going to be difficult. You prepare yourself from now onwards. You need to adapt to the changes, right? So you expect the unexpected and be ready, right? Don't go with a preconceived notion. That's what I want to say. And be positive, tell yourself that, failure is irrelevant. I will succeed. You need to have positive affirmations in your life and develop a mindset that embraces failure. I think I would like to end with that. You need to develop a mindset that embraces failure, and especially in a competitive exam where there's so much competition. You need to develop that kind of mentality. And above everything, you need to put God first and your exam second. And you will only realize this after you clear the exam. So I wish all of you the very best. There is no clear-cut strategy, okay? It's all about hard work. So I don't know whether we'll be talking again, but just work hard, keep persevering, and be consistent. You don't need to study 4, 5, 6 hours in a day also. Okay? You just need to be consistent. If you're studying 2 hours in a day, study 2 hours in a day every day. So once you're able to do that, you slowly increase your time, increase your hours, and at the end, you will be successful. So yeah, every journey is different, and put God first before everything, and yeah, you'll be successful. Thank you so much, everyone. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Sir
Wish you guys.
Omajen.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sir Omajen Ozukum, for sharing your invaluable insights and experiences with us tonight. We wish you all the best for your new journey ahead. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much, Atsu, for having me, and thank you for being very patient. I hope I was able to, at least share some of my experience, and yeah, I hope it helps the aspirants meaningfully. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye,
much.
sir.
Bye.
Sir.
For the next interactive session, we'll be having Chuchu Long Noklak. I request everyone to please stay tuned as she will be joining us soon. Everyone, please stay tuned as Chichung Noklang will be joining us shortly